Now, let's take this beyond enterprise. Now, all of this talk about enterprise and corporate and cables and switch, in other words, the physical hardware, the physical parts of computers, they are no longer really involved. What is more common now is that, is that you can now have all of this, all of that physical representation on the, on this, my left-hand side, we can have them now in virtual form, no longer physical. So if, for example, I have a contract to set up this kind of enterprise network, a contract that requires me to set up an enterprise network to deliver, to implement, what I'll simply do these days, and the reason you are studying to be a cloud engineer, is that I will go into cloud. And this machine here, I will set it up virtually, not physically. I will set it up, it will come up as a virtual machine. And I'll be able to load operating system into it and configure it like if it was physical. This machine here, I'll put it here. I'll migrate it to cloud. This machine here. So what am I saying? I'm saying that this whole enterprise that we drew here, connecting Dallas, you can even say connecting USA to Nigeria to India, all of them now can be represented in cloud, all of the machines. And instead of having them physically represented in different countries like that, everything will now be in cloud as one network. In other words, we're migrating from a physical world, or the world generally is migrating from being physical to being about virtual. Therefore, the Linux that we learned here earlier on to manage this enterprise environment, we still need it to be able to manage this cloud infrastructure within cloud environment. The knowledge is not useless. We still need it to manage, just like we're managing in physics. The difference now is there is no more switch to connect cable. Once you spin up a virtual machine here, you spin up a virtual machine there, just a click of a button, you have formed a network. So this whole idea of go and learn IP addressing, go and connect cable, no. They are old school. They are for people like me that knew this thing like 15, 20 years ago. But people like you just coming up, you can come into your millions in just a matter of few months. It's not like in those days that you had to go and study computer science to understand all of this from the fundamentals. So it is no longer enough to know corporate networks. If you know corporate networks and corporate networks alone, you are not able to come. If you know anything outside of cloud, whether it's corporate or enterprise, you are not able to compete in this modern world. You are not part of the gig economy. You are not part of Industry 4.0. You are not part of this whole talk about people waking up and doing all the magic that we hear that people do. And within 1, 2, 3, 4 years, the young millionaire will just come from behind to overtake people who have been in this business for 30, 40 years. What made all of that possible is cloud. And that is why you are here to learn cloud. Even if it's not to pursue your own idea, at least to help people who already have these ideas run their businesses. And then they'll pay you for doing that for them as employee. All right. So the Linux you are going to learn, it's the primary tool that you'll be using when you get into cloud to link servers together, to communicate from one server to another, between servers, just anything. Because cloud is all about server. This one server, this another server. Whether you are pushing file from here to here, or you are opening this server for the world to connect to so they can access your application, or you have a web server there that you want the world to browse. It's all about servers. Linux is more, you will call it the language that you need for that communication, to make that communication. So this is why you are learning it. This is why you are learning it. You are learning Linux to be able to communicate with servers in enterprise networks, and especially in cloud, and also help those servers communicate with themselves across cloud. All right. Questions. Now, at the level of DevOps engineers, cloud solutions architects, they may not ask you specific questions around Linux, but you do need the understanding of Linux to answer whatever questions they're asking you, because the assumption of the interviewer is that you already know Linux. Without Linux, you cannot understand DevOps. And therefore, even though they are asking you DevOps questions, it is built on a good foundation of Linux for you to be able to deal with them. All right. So do not expect people to ask you specifically what is the Linux command to achieve this. They are not likely to ask, but they'll ask you more complex questions that you require the understanding of Linux command to answer. All right. So what we are going to do, I'm not sure I've already taught you. Okay. If I remember anything that you should understand, I'll come back here. So what we are going to do now is, Let me take you into cloud and then spin up a server in cloud, put Linux into that server, and would now start to use that server to practice. So this is, I mean, we're already going live. In those days, we'll first of all go and set up some virtual machine and be afraid to go to cloud and keep going into cloud for the third month. Well, these days, let's just go straight and start to do it right away. So let's go into cloud, set up a server in cloud, even though we have not started, we are doing Linux now, we've not started cloud, but we need a machine to put our Linux inside so that we can start to practice the Linux. Why are we going to get the machine? Yeah, there may be other cumbersome way to get that. But let's get it in the ways that the employer expects you to know it. If I say go and buy Linux, download it from this, put it in your server, nobody is going to ask you that at interview. It's a waste of all the energy we should have spent to do that. Let's just use it to do directly what employers expect you to. All right. Are you confident? Are you ready for us to go into cloud on the first day?
Yeah.
All right. So come here. So this is, you load your browser. All right. So we have our browser here, right? Can you see my browser? There are 3 major cloud service providers. We'll talk more about them when we'll get into the topic cloud. They are AWS, Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. Of these 3, we'll be using the platform of AWS, which is Amazon Cloud. So to get into Amazon Cloud, the URL is aws.amazon.com. So you type that, aws.amazon.com. All right? So it brings you here. So when
Do
it
you want
brings you
us to
here,
do that? Sorry, excuse me. Do you want us to do
no,
that while you're talking?
no. Just
Okay.
listen, understand what I'm doing. Then after this, you have the video, you watch the video all over, and then
Okay.
that is when you now practice your.
Okay.
You have watched the video. All right. So you come here, and then you come here and you create an account. AWS, you can say sign into, because I'm already in. In your own case, it will say create an account. It will not be signing. All right. Well, I can try to show you from. So your own case will be, you come here and you say, it will be showing somewhere here. Yes, it's using a URL. Let me not mess this up. But basically, especially for bank, you will see create an account here. Creating an AWS account is just like you are creating an email account. It's so easy. The only difference is, in this case, you have to put in your credit card number so that in case you overuse what they have assigned to you free of charge, then they can charge the credit card. Otherwise, the account is free for the first 1 year. They are not charging you. We can practice everything we'll be learning almost free of charge. Yeah, once in a while you might mistakenly or intentionally go beyond boundaries and they charge you $2, $15. But it's worth it for the training. But for most of the time, all the resources provided, you stick within the limits. Well, in my own case, I already have an account. So it's going to ask me